Hello there, Kyle Katarn here, coming back with another Star Wars reaction. Light and Magic, the 6-part documentary talking about industrial light and magic, just came out on Disney+, and I'm really excited for this. Shout out to Nerd Chronic for editing this reaction for me and sneaking it past the Disney blockade. I have a particularly strong reverence for industrial light and magic, not just because they created Star Wars, but also because they had such a strong hand in part in so many of the movies that I watched growing up. I'm talking E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones, so many different things that it was kind of mind-blowing for me when I realized after the fact that, oh wait, the same company did all of those movies? That's insane. I know a whole lot about the story because I've researched it before, but what I'm really looking forward to in this is like never before seen footage, behind the scenes stuff, and actually getting like in-depth explanations, hopefully, about how some of these effects were achieved. This is going to be a ton of fun. I have consumed pretty much all the Star Wars behind the scenes material that is out there. So it's really like a special treat to get more of it. And I'm not just excited for the Star Wars aspect of this. Like I said, I'm excited for this to just learn about ILM in general and all the different movies that they worked on. So without further ado, Light and Magic, Part 1. Let's do it!
Movies are special effects. From Relays to Harryhausen.
Yes, Jason and the Argonauts.
Because they can see things they can't see any other way.
It's pure escapism. Close Encounters. Willow! Wakanda forever!
They keep making it even more exciting, more realistic, more magical.
Yes! Oh, this is gonna be great.
Industrial, light,
Magic.
and magic.
Oh, Hook. Man, that's a throwback. Oh, this is cool. This has got me so pumped for this. Man, I love learning about movie magic. You know, I'm also glad that they waited because they have decades and decades of material to cover now. If this documentary had come out in, like, you know, the 90s, they wouldn't have nearly as much of the innovation to talk about. Like, that was like 50-50 old school and contemporary pictures.
This way. Like that.
How's it never occurred to me I should cosplay George Lucas before?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's beautiful.
Here's where the fun begins.
20th Century Fox.
I love it. This is the first promo. I love it. It's so old school. It's like pre-Don LaFontaine narration era.
Dogfights in space. That's a great idea. I'm a energetic filmmaker.
Yeah, definitely.
The last real science fiction film was 2001.
Stanley Kubrick.
But the shots, they were all long takes and very slow.
Thank you. I called that movie slow moving once, and I got, like, skewered for it. Oh, that's John Dykstra.
I met John Dykstra.
Nice.
He was working
Look at that hairdo.
with visual effects. And so, through John Dykstra, we tapped into that world.
Look at the Death Star behind them. Oh, that's awesome.
I am definitely involved with machines. I like machines a lot.
Oh, he flies too? Nice.
With cars and things like that. I like.
That's an awesome photo.
I had a friend who was working with Doug Trumbull, who had done visual effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
2001 has some amazing miniatures in it.
I started on Silent Running. I drew designs for the ships, then built the models for the ships,
Awesome.
and then photographed the models for the ships.
I want to see this movie. The Adventures of Luke Starkiller. Journal of the Wills. Oh, the first draft.
Because I'm a pilot and I love speed, and I'd been strapping cameras onto airplanes and stuff like that for a long time. And I understood the movie.
That's so cool. Yeah, because he's been strapping cameras to planes, and that's literally the X-Wing shots, you know, that we get.
He needed to build the equipment in order to get the shots.
So they basically said, okay, you go do this.
Oh, is this the first motion control rig? Is that the machine he builds?
I'd like to talk to you about maybe the photography of this sci-fi movie for 20th Century Fox. I said, I'll be right there.
I had finished the program.
Joe Johnston. Nice. Creator of the Star Destroyer. Well, creator of the Commodore class that we later saw in the solo deleted scene.
John asked me if I could do storyboards, and I said, yeah, of course I can.
I had no idea what a storyboard was.
This guy that I was working with
Phil
was
Tippett.
older.
Yes.
And
Love this dude. As far as I'm concerned, it's Tippett and Harryhausen are like the masters.
when I was about 5 years old, King Kong came on television. And that just kind of changed my life.
Sounds like King Kong was the big one for everyone before Star Wars became the big one for everyone.
But my mom liked films, and she took me to see one of Ray Harryhausen's first films, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Nice.
She said, yeah, it's just a lot of separate pictures of a model, and they're moved a little bit between each frame of film. I have no idea how my mother knew that. I didn't even know movies were framed.
Your mom was smart. She figured it out.
So I just wanted to recreate in my mind these memories of what I see in the theater, and there was no way to unless you did it yourself.
That's awesome. It's like directly inspired by that.
When G.I. Joes came out, so I would steal them from Sears because they didn't have enough money, and I could like
Nice.
fashion them.
And there were a few of us.
Oh,
got
look
to
at that
know each
miniature.
other through this magazine, Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Matte paintings.
Ackerman was the editor, and I think Forey really influenced an awful lot of people doing this work.
And I bid you welcome. Follow me, if you dare.
This guy seems like a lot of
It
fun.
looked like a regular house on the outside, and you walk inside,
Ugh.
and all there were books.
He's got so much art and books. That's amazing.
Phil Kellison was the head of the effects department at Cascade. He moved up the street I lived on. He said, hey, you want to do some animation? I said, why, sure. I was probably like 17 or so.
That's great. How do you bend the paper like that?
When I read the script,
May of
for Star
74.
Wars, I just thought this is impossible.
Got a bad feeling about this.
This will take forever. There's no way he's going to get this
It
done.
was
in a
an
year.
extremely ambitious idea for the time.
I have to say, I was a little bit confused. There was a lot of stuff that didn't make perfect sense to me.
What, you mean you didn't go into this speaking Huttese?
This has a lot of cool stuff in it, and it was like a lot of movies we wanted to make personally, full of stuff that no studio wanted to make.
Nice. So their basic reaction to reading the draft was, what the hell is an aluminum falcon?
The group on the first Star Wars, some of it was very green. They were basically machinists, guys who worked on motorcycles. But John was there to guide them into what was necessary or what to build, to use the skills that they had to do what was necessary for the movie.
Interesting. Bunch of bike mechanics.
George wasn't there an awful lot in the beginning, but I think he wanted a bunch of pioneers. He wanted a bunch of guys who didn't know what was impossible.
That's a great line. That's a great quote.
They're going to fire at the bottom. So, I mean, from the camera, it'll look like you've cut it.
Right, and he was in England doing principal photography the whole time, so he wasn't really able to just check in with them. I got chills. I've never seen that footage before. That gave me like goosebumps. Yeah, it didn't work. You lit him on fire.
I wanted to make this stuff indistinguishable from reality.
That's awesome, seeing the storyboards merge like that.
I had worked with a prototype motion control system years before
Okay, so it was already a thing that existed.
on a project about perception.
Oh, that's cool.
We designed cameras and constructed them from scratch. And then doing the motion control system with all that entails, we had to build the computers, we had to build all of the hardware that was necessary.
God, this is so crazy. I am just in awe at the ingenuity of just creating all this.
One was the Dykstra Flex.
Nice, the Dykstra Flex.
It was probably just a nickname.
Nice. That was nice. Good touch.
We were using a format that was obsolete, the VistaVision format. We were able to acquire equipment that had been used and then had to modify it for our purposes.
Oh, cool. Okay, so they cannibalized a bunch of like old cameras.
That hadn't been used since the Ten Commandments.
Behold his mighty hand.
Oh, whoa. It's a pretty sweet effect. I haven't seen the Ten Commandments.
Made the camera low profile so I could fly the camera right close to the models.
Jesus.
Somewhere in there, I just thought, you know,
Holy shit, they got so close. I'd be really worried about scraping the model, you know?
The brilliance of John Dykstra was that he could do everybody's job, making models, or he was a filmmaker, he could process film. all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Just a jack of all
those people,
trades.
They were all jack of all trades.
I don't have a classical education. Took metal shop, printing, electric shop, mechanical drawing. I got interested in photography. I was the photographer for the LA Examiner already. One of my last gigs was to photograph this Day in the Navy event. Enlisted in the Navy within a week. I flew to Tachikawa in Japan, started studying the language. I had a Chinese buddy, a calligraphy expert, taught me how to write. After I got out of the Navy, I started bloodying my knuckles on the doors of Hollywood. I was the crew. I was the operator, the assistant, the grip gaffer, lab run,
Wow.
swept up.
Man, this guy's life story is fascinating. He's done a little bit of everything.
I actually designed the Star Trek alphabet that they still use. That
No shit.
you know,
Wow, he's like the effects version of the Most Interesting Man.
and I became a rock and roll photographer.
What? He's done everything.
Played the ukulele since I was a kid.
Of course
I
you did.
Took guitar lessons and accordion lessons at one point. I can make a portable guitar amp for my guitar. It sounded great.
Oh, I've heard of pig nose. You invented pig nose?
And we got it to everyone.
Wow, this guy has literally done everything.
Went back to San Francisco, drove cable cars for a year. I had a bunch of more life experience than a lot of these other people.
Yeah, sounds like it.
We knew that we had to change the design on Colin Cantwell's ships. He had designed...
That's right. Colin Cantwell designed the original Star Destroyer. Joe Johnston adapted it into the current one that we have.
Always saw the Rebel fleet as essentially hot rods. Beat up and they patched it together and supercharged the engines, and they were basically the hot rods. And the Empire stuff is right off the factory.
That's totally why the Y-Wings are missing plating around the engines. It's like a hot rod with an exposed engine.
One day, George said, you know, we need a new ship for Han Solo, and we
Right.
need it fast. Space 1999 came out, and they had a ship that was roughly
Oh, damn.
the same shape. George didn't want to copy anybody. He didn't
Sure.
want anything on TV that looked like one of his
Was
ships.
that Space 1999 copying their original designs, or is that just a coincidence? How did that happen?
But Han Solo needs his own ship.
Yeah, if I recall, they ended up keeping just the cockpit tip of the ship and redesigning everything around it.
So he said, do me a favor and use this radar dish and use the cockpit.
Nice, and so that's how they
I said,
came to
"Okay,
be.
I can do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
If I'm driving a car, I'm going to be sitting on one side. So I'm going to put the cockpit out on one side,
Iconic.
but I don't want it to look like an American car. So I put the cockpit
So you put it
over on the right side.
Nice.
Something that, you know, he hadn't seen before, which he did.
And now we've got this iconic ship that everyone loves.
This had to be put together and riveted. Everything had to have a reason, so even if you looked up at close, if there was a box, it had to have tubes that went to a plenum box that then went to something else and had electrical...
All these detail shots are incredible.
For some of the minute detail, they were just finding parts from model kits that looked like, this is a mechanical thing, this will look good.
We called it kit bashing.
Kit bashing.
And the treads on the Sandcrawler, there's about 280 treads. And I said to Bob Shepard, oh my God, if I had a little injection molding machine, I could do these in no time. And I said, I can get one for about $1,500, $1,800. He said, oh my God, $1,500, $1,800, go get it. Get the truck and go get it.
Thought we were going so slow. The craft of filmmaking is very difficult. It's very technical.
Man, George really doesn't have a poker face. He really wears it on his sleeve when he's just, like, frustrated. Oops. Yeah, are you all right, George? Man, poor guy.
You couldn't buy super glue in hardware stores. It was called Eastman 910. But John Erlin and I could buy things industrially that regular human beings couldn't get. I held 1/4 of a pencil on the edge of the table. I put a little drop of super glue and then I moved my hand. And they were all like, oh my God, how did you do that?
That's fascinating. So you couldn't just buy super glue in a hardware store?
18 hours a day. Most of us were all in our 20s. Very few had children or other commitments.
No, it's so cool. Honestly, it just sounds like a hippie-ass arts collective.
And one of the guys came back with a shipping case. So we would fill it up with cold water, and then everybody would dunk in it and then go back into work.
Oh, look at these kids. That's too funny. Good for them. They're working hard. They deserve this.
I would go there at night, so I didn't get to participate in lunch hours in the hot tub.
He's got some FOMO.
I was still
over that.
working at Disney when I was moonlighting on Star Wars.
Oh, this is Harrison Ellis. This is the guy who did all the incredible matte paintings in the original.
Ralph McQuarrie's sketches.
Nice.
They were intimidating, but at the same time, inspiring.
God, McQuarrie's art would convince anybody. Honestly, it's so great.
Obi-Wan Kenobi turning off the tractor beam. That was a map shop with a shaft that goes down to infinity, which creates a certain amount of tension.
It looks so good.
Being on the second floor is not good because people slam doors and it vibrates.
Oh.
Eventually, we'll put a red light that you'll turn on when you're shooting so people don't come in the door. Nobody paid attention to the red light.
I think Grant came up with the idea that we could do the escape pod falling out of the bay on the Princess's ship. John Errol and I built this bay with solenoids. So the pod was set in that, and then the camera was put up on a forklift.
Oh, nice.
I put mica dust in all the little solenoids. So when the solenoids pull back, it's as if bolts are blowing, you know, and then it creates all these little sparkles.
That's so clever.
The thing that they buy when they come for your talent is your ingenuity, your ability to give what you say you can give, especially when they don't understand it. They hope you do.
That's it.
Oh, dear.
Spent half the budget. The movie is going to be released in 6 months.
Oh.
You have 400 shots. How can you do this?
It doesn't sound great when you put it that way, but they built everything first.
Not happy.
Poor George. Oh, and that's episode 1? Oh, this is awesome. I can't wait to find out the rest of this story. I love how narrative they're making it, you know? Like, this is a historical account of how all these things came to be, and it could read like a textbook if they wanted it to, but it really feels like you're along for a journey here. Oh, man. So much innovation went into creating these machines. And yet, George was just not happy. Oh, man. But, of course, you know, we know how this ends. It ends with a happy ending. They've got the movie finished and everything, but... Man. Oh. Nice. The super glue. That's awesome. Cool. That was so cool. I can't wait to watch the rest of this. Oh, man. Yeah, I have so many thoughts about it, but like I forget to say things because I get just sort of like enraptured in this story and learning about these amazing creative people that brought us such an influential part of all of our childhoods, you know? And again, not just Star Wars, but everything else that they later went on to create as well, or like, you know, have a hand in the effects for. Yeah, I'm seriously enjoying this. I can't wait to find out just how grumpy George Lucas was when he got back from England and saw only these 2 shots. Stay tuned. Reactions are going to be dropping once per week right here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed my reaction. This video was edited by Nerd Chronic to sneak past the Disney blockade. You can check out the full-length version on Patreon. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite part of this was, what you think about the documentary. Would you like more content of this type from Disney Plus besides just the actual entertainment, but a lot more deep dives in the behind the scenes? Lord of the Rings, for example, one of my favorite things about the extended edition is all the appendices. I'd love to get more of this on Disney Plus. Thanks again for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.